What is going on, everyone? Happy New Year's and welcome to another deck profile. So today we're going to be showcasing our brand new Malevolent Oath Darkness build. So this is a build that I've been working on for the last 6 months with my team, and it's just a build that I've really enjoyed and it's just been a lot of fun. So the deck revolves around Grimmsnarl and his ability Dark Oath. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon attack costs 1 colorless more. It's very strong. Whenever we're building builds, at least personally, I really like to play Pokemon that are stage 2, just because I think the essence of Pokemon is evolving Pokemon, so that's why I really enjoy stage 2. But in GLC, where it's a singleton format, playing at stage 2s, you have to, whenever you're playing stage 2s, you have to think about how important or how powerful that card is going to be once it's active. So how impactful is the card? It doesn't even have to be in the active, right? It just has to be on the field. So how impactful is me wasting all this time or all these resources into bringing a stage 2? And that's one of the things that whenever we're building right around a stage 2 Pokemon, we have to come across and we have to think about. So whenever we started playing Grimmsnarl, it was fine, but we were scared that maybe he wasn't going to be enough. Maybe he was going to be too slow, or maybe he was just not gonna, give that additional oomph that the deck needed or that, we wanted to see. But luckily for us, it really paid off, and it's a really strong mon. And whenever we were able to have him in the active in testing, he really took 3 to 4 prizes. So it was very, very powerful. And the more and more you get to play this deck, the more and more you will understand how the deck builds and why we picked the cards that we picked. Now, whenever you're building this deck, let's get right into the build. I just wanted to give like a brief introduction like I always do. So this is the lineup that I picked. There is a better Impidimp, there is other Impidimps that are maybe as good. There is one that calls for family. There's also a Morgrem that is, I think has a little more HP maybe, but I know there's a Morgrem that has 1 retreat cost, which is it's really important in the game, having, lower retreat costs depending on the build. However, I'm super biased when it comes to shiny TCG cards, so this is the build that I like. I also like these guys because they're not weak to fighting, which is our worst matchup in my opinion. And I like these guys because this Impidimp has 70 HP, which is perfect for basic, and then this Morgan has 90, which I can search with level ball. Another thing that I really enjoy about this card is that they both do damage with 1 darkness energy, which actually comes in it comes in clutch sometimes in games. So I'm really happy about this lineup itself. And Grimmsnarl is just very powerful with things like Pokemon League and just other strong cards that you're going to see in the deck profile. But as a boss monster, he's just incredibly strong. So I'm super happy that after a long time we managed to make him work. So I really hope that you guys can build it yourself and see how powerful he is. Now let's talk about some familiar faces. So we are playing the Galarian Weezing. So this Galarian Weezing is something that a lot of Dark players are starting to take off their decks. But I think that with the new meta and how the meta is sort of shaping to be, I think more players should start playing Weezing. Now, I think that with the cards that we have nowadays in Darkness, I think there is some really good argument of, depending on the build and the strategy on your deck, you should or should not be playing Weezing. And that's what's so great about this format, is that there's really not a perfect answer. The best answer that I can give you, or the best tip that I can give you when it comes to playing Galarian Weezing, is that depending on your build, just test him. We did a lot of games without Galarian Weezing, and then whenever we tested him, whenever we started testing Weezing, we just really enjoyed it in this build because we are talking about a stage 2, right? So we want to have that additional turn or that little time that we can that the card gives us to actually get to our Grimmsnarl. We are playing one of the strongest cards in Dark when it comes to consistency, the Light-Part. This is a card that I absolutely I'm just really happy with this card. This is one of those cards that I really didn't want to play in other Dark builds because I was just getting tired of like some of the same cards. But this is a card that you can't really change, or you have to be very careful whenever you're switching this card from your deck. because the consistency the card gives to the build is just incredible. So absolutely incredible card. Whenever this card is not on the field, you will feel it. It's very, very, the difference between, you know, having it on the field and not having it, it's just huge. We are also playing the Sneasel and the Weavile. Again, these are cards that you already seen, and they're very common in Darkness decks. There is a new Sneasel that's gonna cut that was announced that has free retreat, which is the one that we're probably going to play whenever it comes out. So be on the lookout for that card. And then we are playing 4 basics. We are playing the Galarian Moltres. So this Galarian Moltres is very strong. He is a boss killer. So this guy takes care of Okidogi, takes care of Torterra, takes care of like very big, tanky, strong metal Pokemon. So he's just one of those cards that you really need to have in the deck just to get to those numbers. And he's just an incredible card. Unfortunately, I think the only bad thing about this build, or any build in Darkness that plays both Galarian Moltres and Hoopa, is actually opening with them. But luckily for you guys and for us, we actually develop certain cards in the deck that help us even in the worst openings that the deck has. So Hoopa is one of those cards that's just really strong. He's another card that he's not nothing new, nothing crazy, right? We've seen him in a lot of Darkness builds, and he just puts the pressure throughout the game, and he's very nice for dunking, and he has other really good stuff going for him. We are also playing the Alolan Meowth, which just helps with that. And the more and more you play Alolan Meowth, the more and more you're going to really like him. And then the last basic is Yveltal. So Yveltal is one of those cards that he just feels like a techie card, but the more and more you look at the card, the more you really enjoy and appreciate how powerful he can be. He has 110 HP, which he's really good for anti-donking from your opponent. He has the Derail attack that does damage for only one colorless, one darkness energy, sorry. And he can take off a special energy. So this build, a lot of times you're going to either start putting a lot of pressure with things like Hoopa or Alolan Meowth, or your opponent's going to start really strong with a special energy. And those problems can be fixed with Yveltal, right? Because as we put a lot of pressure into our opponent with things like Hoopa or the Meowth, your opponent's going to be able to activate cards like Teammates or Raihan, or just play really strong cards like Reversal Energy or Counter Energy. And then Yveltal is just going to, it's going to be a card that's very accessible in the deck. He's going to be accessible in your discard pile. And you can just play him and remove that threat that already, he's a Pokemon that's going to keep you having the advantage, which is really nice. And again, we're not even looking at the other really amazing traits that Yveltal has. He is a free retreat mon, which is amazing to pivot all game with Hoopa. He also has resistance to fighting, which in my opinion is one of the worst matchups. And he is weak to electric, which right now electric really has spread in right. Most people are playing spread, so the weakness isn't really going to matter. So that's it. I'm really happy with this lineup of Pokemon, and we've been working really hard and trying to figure out like what to play and what really is the path that we should go to. And so far, this is what we're happy with. And if I'm being honest, I think you can take this deck and just test different things like the Obstagoon, or test different things like the Hydreigon, if those are one of your favorite mons, and just change a couple things into the deck and and there you have it. You might have a brand new deck. So again, maybe changing just our stage 2, and maybe just adding things like Hoopa, which can be really strong. It'll give you basically the feeling that you're playing a brand new deck. So keep that in mind. Let's get right into the supporters. So we're playing Pierce, Tate and Liza, Alanis 8. Alanis 8, we're playing Alanis 8 right now over Clara. Those get switched around depending on like who you ask. But if I'm being totally honest, I've enjoyed Alanis 8 a lot more, just because again, we're dealing with a stage 2. So I really enjoyed Alanis 8 so far. We're playing the Gladion, which we obviously need for the consistency. We're playing Green's Exploration. Very strong in testing. There is a lot of Pokemon that have abilities and will have abilities early in the game. But there's two scenarios. Either you are sort of breaking and you sort of need a way out and green will help with that, or you're already set up and you don't really need greens and you can just discard green by using trade. So it's a plus plus or a win-win. Either she gets you out of scenarios or she puts you out of a very good scenario, or she's dead anyways and you can and she doesn't become dead because she just becomes Potter for trade, which is amazing. We play Guzma, teammates are Ven. We play Rosa. We're playing Sonia over Clavel or Bridget because in testing we were playing Clavel and he was really great with comboing with things like Moltres. Sonia does the same thing where it brings the Pokemon to the hand, which is important, that different from things like Gloria or Bridget, which actually bring them to the bench. So Sonia can be really good in that scenario because you can bring that Moltres into your hand to then play it and activate its ability. But then mid to late game, she also has other purposes, which is really strong. And sometimes in testing, there were scenarios where we just had 1 or 2 or 3 Pokemon that we were fine with, and then we just needed that energy, and Clavel didn't give us that. So Sonia is just well-rounded and just better overall in multiple more scenarios. So that's why we picked her. We play Raihan and Cynthia, and we're playing Marnie as well. And then we picked the last supporter that just complemented the deck, which was Lusamine. So Lusamine is the last added card into the deck, and it was just the last missing puzzle for the build to work. We have 4 different stages or stadiums, and they went really well throughout the entire game or the entire matches that we played and tested in friendlies and in tournaments. And she just really felt very strong. Like, she was just that one card that we needed. So I hope you guys get to enjoy and see how powerful she is, because she can get you back things like the Guzma, or she can get you things back like Rosa, which are really good boxing cards. She can bring back things like the Pokemon League, which actually is a game changer, or just get you out of like really random or weird scenarios with Dark City and Silent Lab. So she was just perfect, a perfect addition for what the deck needed. Let's get right into our items or tools. We're playing Dark Claw, U-turn board, and Floatstone. Floatstone, if I'm being honest, is a flex card in the build at the moment. In testing, I switched Floatstone multiple times, and U-turn board felt like it was enough. But there were weird scenarios where certain things were either in the discard pile or were just prize, or I just needed something else to help me with just moving things like the Hoopa or moving things like the Moltres. And well, Flowstone was just the card that I needed. But again, be on the lookout for this card. This card might change in the future because U-turn board really felt like it was enough. We are playing Hisuian Heavy Ball, Nest Ball, and Level Ball. No Quick Ball because we're really short in space. And if I'm being totally honest, this deck doesn't really want to discard that much. And if we're discarding, it's only to use trade or to like play other really strong cards. But Quick Ball we felt like Artisan was just better because we could play Artisan multiple times, during the game, or we could get it back with Lusamine. It just felt better. We play Escape Rope, Evolution Incense, Evo Soda, the very powerful Scoop Up Net, which is very strong. Now, Rescue Stretcher, Professor's Letter, Dark Patch, Rare Candy, Dangerous Drill. So we are playing Dangerous Drill over playing Enhanced Hammer or Blower, because there were a lot of scenarios where either I needed an Enhanced Hammer and I had a Blower, or I need a Blower and I had Enhanced Hammer. So this card isn't that great in things like Turbo Guzzlord or Red Banquet or like decks like that, because they play a lot of basics and they don't really want to discard a lot of cards, a lot of mons. But this card is perfect because in this build particular, we don't really mind discarding certain cards. So it just felt naturally better. But this is one of those cards that you can switch in your build, be my guess. I'm just telling you again, this is the reason why we picked it. Super Rod, very strong. Trainer's Mail, Body Puffin, Versus Seeker, and then the very, very cool Stadium Nab. So Stadium Nab used to be Culver's Tenacity in this build, but we figured how in testing, there were a lot of times where either we were playing against Dragon, which was it's very dangerous in today's meta, playing like a cold risk card, because a lot of Dragon players are playing Curum, and you just have to be careful. And yeah, we do play things like the Silent Lab, but it's just sometimes not enough. So we didn't want to worry about that. So we just figured, let's add something that might be even better than Cold Risk Tenacity. And Stadium Nav just felt a lot stronger because we are playing Silent Lab, we are playing Dark City, the very broken Pokemon League headquarters, and Artisan. So these Stadium cards just feel really strong in the early, in the mid, and in the late game. They're just very powerful cards. Playing Stadium going first also allows you to get Artisan so that you don't get Dunk. Playing Silent Lab to get those KOs, or you can play aggressively or defensively against Colorless, or aggressively against things like Okidogi to get that KO. You can use Dark City to just at the beginning of games to get those dunks, because you might have opened things like the Moltres or things like the Hoopa, and you just needed that retreat in order to like dunk with Meowth. So it just felt really strong. And then Pokemon League headquarters with a combination of Lucamine and Grimmsnarl is just ridiculous, and it's my favorite part of the deck. And then lastly, we play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 basic Darkness energies. We play 1 double colorless energy, 1 twin energy, and 1 hiding Darkness energy. So that is the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoy this brand new year. We're gonna bring you guys as many deck profiles as we can. We're gonna get to a point where it's just going to be a plateau, because again, we're gonna be waiting on like newer cards, and we're going to see what other people like built, and we're gonna probably like wait for those decks to get better in order for us to like showcase them. But if you have a deck idea or you want to showcase your deck profile, let us know in Tricky Gym. You can look me up, Pelet in Tricky Gym, or you can just send us all the information to our Gmail, team Moomoomilk@gmail.com, and we're going to we'll obviously try to upload your video so that more people can build it and give you the credit that you deserve. Okay, so I hope you really enjoy the video. Hope you have fun if you get to play this build. It's one of my favorites that we built this year. We've been building like crazy this year, so this 2025, it's gonna be all about competing and just winning with some really cool decks, and hopefully we get some really new cards to the format, and we'll see what's gonna happen. All right, so I'll see you guys later.